Welcome to Simplify My Small Business, episode 53. This week, what is SEO? With myself, Simon Hampson.
And the other bloke over here, Adam Sternecki.
Mr.
Did
Adam
you like that?
Sternecki.
I went all announcery.
You did the R&B style slight delay on the
I
the
tried
vocal.
my best. I think I'll stick to my day job, just quietly.
Hey, another big thank you to Chris Diacos.
The lovely Chris Diacos.
Absolutely. She joined us on the last episode of Simplify, for all of you out there, to talk about conflict. And Adam and I have had the most peaceful relationship ever since that episode was recorded.
It's been zen, baby.
If you haven't heard that episode, go check it out. Episode 52. It's on the website now, simplifymysmallbusiness.com.
Yeah, and say nice things about Chris so we can get her back because we want to talk to her about culture.
Absolutely. So this week's episode going to be a bit shorter, a bit snappier. We thought we'd look at what is SEO. This is a bit of a confusing term. It gets thrown out there quite a bit nowadays. I say SEO when I go and do marketing consults for Gosh, and people look at me a bit strangely.
Yeah, it's surprising to me that more people don't know what it's all about. But it's, I suppose if you don't live online, you don't really understand how important it is.
It's yet another TLA that's infecting our lives, isn't it?
It's another bloody acronym.
Exactly. So SEO stands for Search Engine Optimization.
Yeah, so we'll get into that in a moment. We've got a bit of news. We just got back from talking at Monash today to a group of students from different areas within the uni studying different things who are interested in starting up small businesses. So that was an interesting afternoon.
Yeah, really enjoyed that. Really engaged group and lots of good questions afterwards, I thought.
Yeah, it was good fun. Interesting to see that even people from universities are finding what we put out there interesting, which makes it all worthwhile.
Thanks to Lizzie and Tonya at Monash for the invite. Really appreciate it.
That was great. And I don't know if anyone out there has any other such opportunities. We are quite happy to consider them. So don't feel like it's asking too much to put forth the question.
Absolutely. We'll have to get a recording of the next one.
Yeah, we tried our best today, but we didn't have the appropriate technology available.
Yes. So, in simple terms, SEO is search engine optimization. What is search optimization? What is search engine optimization? You're probably asking yourself.
It's apparently very confusing.
It's a tongue twister.
Quite hard to pronounce.
It is a tongue twister. SEO, process of refining a website, right? So it improves its place in the search engine rankings. And when we say search engine, let's face it, I'm not going to beat around the bush. Google accounts for more than 90% of search traffic. So really, we're talking about Google.
Yeah, and I suppose the only other play you've really got to consider these days is Bing. Wouldn't that be about right?
Yeah, look, Bing's starting to account for a bit more, but I think if you focus on Google initially, you're not really going too wrong. So,
yeah, we've got an 80-20 this whole thing, don't you?
And most of what you do for Google works with Bing anyway. So
it seems to be that they have the the standard, well, the de facto standard with their spiders and all of the algorithms they write seems to be copied left, right, and centre by the other search engines anyway.
Yeah, pretty much. The thing that I want to really classify, though, before we start talking about SEO today is that it's just another form of marketing for your business. SEO is like it used to be when you'd advertise in the yellow pages. It's just that Google now holds the real estate. And there's a way to get in there that's slightly different than the way you used to pay Yellow Pages to advertise or the way that you pay Google to have AdWords ads on Google, and that is to appear what we call organically in the search results. So naturally, when someone types in Adam Sternecki, you want someone to see your best articles on the web or the information about you.
Yeah.
So for most of us, on a personal level, the results that show up are pretty good. You know, some people are really interested in engineering what shows up for them. But as a business, especially as a new business, how do you appear for the terms and the kind of commercial keywords, as we call them, that you need people to find your website for to do business? So
it's something that when we talk about, I'm just going to jump in because when we talk about SEO, it's the jargon and the terminology that confuses people. So when we talk about keywords and we talk about search engines and we talk about organic results, this is what freaks people out.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So I have an IT background, and I remember when you and I sat down to talk about SEO for my businesses, that a lot of that it still went over my head. You know, we're talking long tail search terms and short tail search terms and all this kind of stuff. And I think that's where we lose people, and people get so confused by all the jargon that they don't even consider the importance of the basic idea of SEO. And when we do exactly what you just said, we step back and go, okay, this is just another way to market, and the return on investment for this kind of marketing is often quite good.
Yes.
And we need to consider it, we need to adopt it, and we can generally, within the 3 months, we can see if this thing's working, and it might only cost us a couple $100 to do that. So it's worth doing something like that rather than a couple of $1,000s on a radio, and tens of $1,000s on TV, and thousands of dollars in print advertising. We can see if this kind of thing's going to work for a couple $100.
Exactly. You can see pretty instantaneously if your site visitors are increasing and what sort of action they're taking. I think you're right. I think SEO gets too bogged down in jargon. So that's the first point. It's just another form of marketing, like we've said. And the first point in any form of marketing you do is defining it, creating some definition around what you're doing and what your aims are. So as a business owner, you need to define what terms you want your site to rank for. And usually we recommend between 5 and 10. So, that then you're not kind of dispersing your sort of efforts over too many different terms or keywords.
So Simon, if I was a small business owner who had no idea what you've just talked about, why would I care about ranking for certain keywords? What does that mean to my business? How does that help me?
Well, if you imagine your business is a bricks and mortar store, and you imagine that your store is in the countryside somewhere on a rarely used road, and the only traffic that goes past are truck drivers who have nothing to do with what you're selling, you're probably starting to get a bit of a picture of what a website feels like when it first goes online.
Yep, gotcha.
So what we're looking to do is move your shop to a pretty high foot traffic area with shoppers who are actually interested in what you are selling. So, if that's bicycles, then, the terms on Google would be buy bike or get bicycle advice and those types of things.
Excellent. Gotcha.
So the other thing about SEO is it's very much a medium to long-term thing. We tend not to see results for the first 2 to 3 months in terms of pushing keywords for sites and pushing them up the rankings in Google for those keywords. But you've really got to look at it as a business owner as a sort of medium-term proposition. Okay, in the medium term, people are going to find me for my chosen keywords in Google, and that's going to be good for my business. It's going to increase site visitors. It's going to increase my authority, but showing up in the organic search results for a keyword is, generally a sign of authority. People trust, if you're in the top 5 results in Google, people trust you and they click on you,
Yeah.
And we see a lot of data that says if someone appears on that first page of Google and they're doing Google advertising as well, those ads are treated with more authority by the people who see them. So it's an interesting kind of state of affairs. So without too much further ado, I wanted to get into the 2 types of SEO, and they need to be done together. But I think first we'll start off with on-site SEO, i.e. what you do to your website, yeah? Okay. And how your website functions. So there's sort of 3 elements to this, and I thought we'd go from a macro to a micro kind of level. So on a larger perspective, what search engines are looking at is your site quality. So how well can that search engine review your site? How well can its sort of little robots, or spiders as they call them, crawl across your site and see what's there? If they're constantly hitting roadblocks, then they're going to rank your site quite lowly. They're just not going to find the terms that they need to find, yeah? How quickly do the pages load is getting more and more important. And this is something I meant to mention before actually, one of the things with search engine optimization is they're always changing the algorithms, the way the search engines actually rank the results. So that's why it's an ongoing job. And a few updates back, they started to rank how quickly pages load as part of the check. Now, that might not seem that important to you, but when you think about people's mobile devices, people working more and more on laptops, those types of things, they do start to be kind of relevant. And Google doesn't really want to be showing you, Adam, like a result at number 2 in the listing for your search for a mechanic, for example. If you're going to click on it, the site's going to take 5 minutes to load. It doesn't do Google any good. So
this is the really cool thing about Google, and it's when I talk to people about SEO, I find, excuse me, that they're always talking about SEO as if they're trying to rank for Google, but what they don't really grasp is Google writes its algorithms to present the most appropriate sites for a searcher. So really, all of your work for SEO is about getting the right information across to a user, to a human. So you're marketing towards humans. It's not about writing something for a program or for a website.
Exactly, yeah.
For a search engine. So this is one of the really important things to consider when you're talking about SEO is you're trying to find a language to explain yourself to people who want to find your site.
Yeah. And part of our job in SEO is finding those terms. You mentioned briefly before the long tail, and for all of you out there, the long tail is if you draw a graph and you look at the top end, that's where a lot of search volume is, but as you go further and further down, you might be getting to, 1, 2, 3 to 5 searches on those keywords even per month. But they're really qualified keywords, so they might include terms like buy, or they might include terms that give you an indication that person actually is going to take action on your site.
Yes, they might be higher conversion.
Correct. So that's part of finding the pay dirt. It's part of finding the kind of the terms that you want to rank for, and finding how humans will actually use a search engine as opposed to how a search engine will look at your site too. So that's where the keyword stuff comes in. The third part of site quality is your site address. So you've had, can a search engine review your site? How quickly do the pages load? And the last thing is, what's your actual site address? What's the URL? So if I visit Simplify My Small Business, it's simplifymysmallbusiness.com. Small business is in there, and like a form of simple is in there as well. So for us, those three terms are very important for Simplify My Small Business. So if you now search Small Business Podcast on Google, you'll find us in that first page. So and that's through a bit of SEO work that we've done. So the second part of on-site SEO is all about site structure, or often about how the code on the site's structured. So there's a few things on the site that we call metadata, and they are the title tags and the description. So when you search for something in Google and you find a site, what you're finding, what it's displaying is the title of the site. So that comes from the title tags on the page that you found. And then the description comes from the sort of description tags on the site. So you got to make sure those tags, the description, you're really looking at something that you want people to take action. So it's almost like a mini marketing message for your site. It's a chance to repeat your tagline, or to say, hey, come to our site for the best advice on where to get ice cream in Melbourne, or whatever the kind of case is. I mean, you see a lot of sites on Google and the description's just mangled. They don't have one, so Google's sort of taken bits and pieces of a few pages, or they don't have a good quality one, and it doesn't make a lot of sense. So I'm a lot less likely, and other people are a lot less likely to click on something if it doesn't have a decent description. Yeah.
Yep, I can appreciate that. That's how I work when I look for specific things on Google.
Correct. Title tags really important. Simplify My Small Business, podcast advice. Those types of things you might put in the title tags on for us. The next thing is sort of, we're getting into the page, but this is still about site structure. How do your headers on your pages perform for you? And typically the H1 tag, which is sort of jargon in HTML for the top level header on a page, is one of the most important elements of your site, of your page, because it indicates to Google what that page is actually talking about. So do your headlines and your subheaders, use relevant keywords, so relevant terms that you want to be found on Google for. Have a think about that. Have a look at your website and ask yourself that question. And the final thing on a more micro level, so this kind of links to the headlines, is what's the content on your site like? So Google, would you believe, actually has a quality score for your site. So they say, what sort of quality is the content on this website? Are the pages well written? Do they have good quality copy, And next comes, how engaging is your content? Like, how long do people stay on your site? So Google might say, Adam visited Symbiosis, Simon's podcast, and he loved it so much that he stayed there for 40 minutes and listened to a whole mix, So that then says to Google, okay, there's engaging content on this site.
Sure.
The next thing is, how regularly are you adding new content? So we add a new podcast episode every 2 weeks. So Google then sees that and goes, okay, this isn't a site that someone paid a bit of money to create and has just let sit there now. It's a site that someone's actually interested in actively updating. So like I was saying before, with the site load times, Google knows they can promote that site in their search rankings and give their users a good experience, yeah? Because they're sending...
it's a current site.
They're sending someone to a current site, yeah, exactly. Yeah. So from a macro to a micro perspective, I guess that kind of gives you an idea of what on-site SEO is, yeah?
Mm. And one of the things I found, like this used to confuse the pants off me, all this on-site stuff. And I'm a WordPress user, so hopefully I'm not losing any of the listeners when I talk about this, but I'm not trying to get too technical. If you don't know what WordPress is, go to Google and type in WordPress and you'll find out that the first thing comes up is the site that's about WordPress, which will show you how well SEO actually works. But it's just an environment to write web pages and blogs. But there are some great little plugins that allow you to write well-structured SEO.
Yeah.
What I should say is well-structured web pages that rank well for SEO. So you don't necessarily, all this stuff that Simon's talking about, you don't have to go stir crazy to work it out yourself. There's information online and there are tools online, or you can pay someone like Simon to do the work for you. So there's all these options. It doesn't have to be completely overwhelming.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of this advice is really good advice to think about when you're creating your website. A lot of this work should go in at that time. And Adam mentioned WordPress. Now, WordPress out of the box, so just installing WordPress is a good first start. It's a great platform for sites showing up in Google and other search engines quite well. So we've talked about on-site SEO, Adam. What do you think we're going to talk about next?
I'm guessing off-site.
Off-site, yes. So off-site SEO, what do you think that's all about? It's about what is going on outside your website. So the things that you maybe think you can't control, but in actual fact, you can.
Yeah, so tricks and techniques for this stuff. And I know the first one, the big one that I've always seen is all about creating incoming links and webs of links and all of this kind of stuff.
Correct.
I saw a really interesting ad on the sidebar in Facebook saying, link building is dead, learn about SEO. I was like, I don't think that's true. What's this all about?
Well, Google updated their algorithm earlier this year, and they did another update late last year. And it's created a bit of a headache for a lot of SEO people because link building was a bit of a grey area for a long time. So it wasn't what we call white hat strategy, and it wasn't quite what we call black hat strategy. When black hat's sort of the dark arts, doing things that really you probably shouldn't be doing. So it sort of sat in the middle. So a lot of people were using it, and suddenly what Google did was they said, okay, if you're a site that's all about selling oil, right, and you've been spamming people's websites that are about baby care products and things completely unrelated to your business or your niche, we're going to penalize you for it. We don't believe you should have any links coming into your site from those sites. We can tell that you're just creating links for the sake of it to rank higher in Google. See you later, we're pushing you off the first page. And overnight, a lot of businesses got a fair kick from this one. It actually hurt a lot of businesses because people, reliant on getting traffic from Google. Suddenly we're on page 2, page 3, even further down sometimes. So that's what I was talking about before. Google are constantly updating their algorithms, so got to stay on top of this stuff. And this is part of why we say, pay us to do it, because it's something that's just impossible to stay on top of. So,
and the flip side of this is, if SEO is your only marketing strategy, and your whole business is going to live or die by the fact that you're on the first page of Google, you don't have a business. If all of a sudden your business fails purely because Google changes the rules, which they can do because it's their product.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if that's all you've got going for you, you don't have a business anymore. You need to have other avenues of business coming in, like other lead channels and all that kind of stuff. So SEO is cool, but it's not the be-all and end-all. Very important to understand. And,
the follow-up from SEO, of course, is what do you do with your visitors once they get to your site? And that's a whole other topic. So incoming links, Adam mentioned this. Google's looking at what quality are those links, and are they coming from a trusted site? So we mentioned, like, I'm a site that sells car oil. If I'm getting a link from a car maintenance site, Google's going to go, hey, that's actually quite relevant to your site. And that we know that car maintenance site's updated every single day. There's a good forum. There's lots of interactivity amongst its members. People trust it. Okay, we're going to rank that link as quite good quality.
Yeah, so relevance strikes me as being very, very important.
Relevance, absolutely. Next up, do the links use any of the keywords that you're talking about? So, when you've got the text on the page and someone's linked to you in that text, does that text use keywords that are relevant to your site? So, when we said before, you need to define what you want to rank for. You need to make sure your links are coming in based off those keyword terms as well. And the final thing for links is Google says, how many links do you have? And that's where we talk about link building. So we go off-site and we build links back to your site. So it's a fairly time-intensive thing. That's why SEO is quite an ongoing thing, I guess. Yeah.
This is a really good place where offshore workers can really work for you, virtual assistants and people like that, because it is a time-intensive task to build links, and it's if you're paying someone $20 an hour to build links, it's a lot of money.
It is. Yeah.
If you can leverage virtual assistants in this kind of case, it's a really good idea.
Yeah, and it's really a question of, like you and I spoke about, do you have the time to manage it? Can you get your head around exactly what they're doing? So
yeah, absolutely.
So that's a big thing. Now, in the last few years, other elements have become a lot more important off-site as well. Now, social actually has an impact. Social media actually has an impact on your site's rankings in Google, believe it or not. Things like, how much is your content shared on social media? If you've got a Facebook page and you're encouraging your fans to share your content, you're doing the right thing. And what sort of presence do you have on social media? If they see that you've got a Twitter page and a Facebook page, those sorts of things are going to help you rank well. So that all kind of becomes the third of the off-site things, which is Google then comes up with this sort of quite fuzzy thing, which is, how trustworthy is your site? How long is, and one of the elements of that is, how long has your site been around for? So one of the things we often talk about is, how long has a domain name existed? And Google sort of says, okay, right, Simon said symbiosis.com.au for 10 years. So we trust new links on that site quickly, and they appear in Google for the artists that I feature quite quickly. So, and then the next thing they ask is the site an authority about what you're talking about? So, they might see CrossFit Victoria as an authority on CrossFit in Australia or worldwide, and they'll rank you really well for CrossFit searches. So
it generally works pretty high. Ranks pretty high, actually. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. And part of that, apart from the good quality content and the ongoing updates you've made to the site, part of that is that CrossFit Victoria's domain name has been around for quite a while.
It has, yes.
So Google sort of says, oh, yeah, okay, these guys are obviously serious. They've got a good business. So SEO, it's all a balance. It really is. So although we've talked about a lot of things like, do you have enough content on your site? And is that content using the keywords that you need to rank for? Google will also penalize you if you overuse the keywords. Can you see what sort of balancing rope we're on at it?
Mm-hmm.
It's not a great place to be. It is a balancing act. The other thing they look at is the quality of your site's content low? Is it been written well? You might be updating a lot, but it might be bad content, or it might be recycled content from elsewhere. And if they see that, beware, because one of the updates that they did recently was downgrading article directories, what we call article directories. So they are literally sites that were just set up to attract search engine traffic and then profit from adverts. And Google said, hey, wait a minute, this isn't a good quality place to be sending our consumers, our customers, people who are searching on there. So we're going to downgrade those sites. So that if you're reposting content, they're going to identify your site like that. So it's a bit of an overview of SEO. You think there's anything we haven't covered, Adam?
No, I just think it's important that anyone's listening to this that you don't get overwhelmed with what Simon's talking about, because when you first hear a lot of these terms and a lot of the concepts, it just seem to be too much to get your head around. because it is a very in-depth area when it comes to understanding how these algorithms work, what it's all about, how you tweak things, what you do to rank higher, why that's important. All you need to really concern yourself with as the business owner is why you're doing it. That's to attract more traffic and to get more leads and then hopefully more conversions. And the other thing is you are doing this, it's a marketing strategy. It's another marketing strategy. You don't have to, if you want to, it can be completely black box. You can pay someone else to do it. You don't have to concern yourself with how it, if you did a radio campaign, you would go to a radio station, you would talk to whoever their marketing manager is, and you get an account manager. They would then have a brief put together and they would go and create an ad for you and then pop it on the radio at the most appropriate times for you. And that's pretty black box. All you get to do is say, yes, I like the ad, no, I don't like the ad.
Correct.
So it's not very different. You don't necessarily have to know what's going on. All you need to know is the idea is to get more people to your website.
Correct.
And the beautiful thing is you can see that so quickly.
You can. And the great thing about SEO is, unlike that radio campaign that only lasts for 3 weeks or 4 weeks or however long you booked it for, once your site's ranking in Google, it's going to be there for a period of time. Yes, you need to maintain it, but it has a fairly decent ongoing effect for your site. So that's something to remember too. As an area to invest your marketing dollars, although it is sort of time intensive and therefore not the cheapest option, it is also an ongoing option for your business. So I think it's great. I like the quote you found this week, Adam.
Yes, SEO is like acupuncture and homeopathy. It works even if you don't know how or why. Tad Chef, SEO 2.0 SEO blog.
Wonderful.
Interesting. Great quote. I love that one.
It is. You've been listening to Simplify My Small Business with me, Simon Hampson.
And me, Adam Stanecki.
We'll be back again in 2 weeks. In the meantime, check out the website, simplifymysmallbusiness.com, for show notes, more episodes, and recommended resources. And if you really enjoy this episode, if you like Simplify, I'll tell you what, tell a few friends about it this week. And we'd love you for it. Forever and ever.
Help us with some SEO and share this episode on Twitter and Facebook, and we'd love you for it. And if you've got any questions about SEO, send us an email via the website. We'll be happy to get back to you and have a chat to you about it.
Absolutely. We'll catch you again in 2 weeks.
Thank you for listening.